Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Keyflower.
And we're just going to be reviewing the base game.
Yep.
Oh, we might say a few things about the expansions, but mainly the base game for this review.
Correct.
And Keyflower is a game that plays 2 to 6 players. They recommend ages 13 and up, and it can take you about 90 to 120 minutes.
There you go. Right on. So, let's start with the components.
I think the components are great. You've got your standard meeples,
Mm-hmm.
and then your hexes are good quality thick cardboard.
Yes.
And the art is really pleasant. Like, it's really pretty. And it's got almost bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
I like it quite a bit.
It's nice that the artwork is good and very individualistic for the tiles, which is very cool, but it's also, like you say, it's not super bright. It's kind of muted just enough so that it doesn't interfere with the iconography.
Right, and it's really pretty.
Yeah. Very cool.
And I think I like that they used the octo cubes for the resources because you're stacking them on your tile.
Yeah.
So if you actually had the correct shape, like wood and stone,
That would be difficult.
they wouldn't have fit so good on your tiles.
Yep. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
The only thing I find with these houses are these things right here are weird. I don't understand why they have them and they fly out.
Yeah. They're supposed to keep everything nice and secure, but if you do knock these over, they come flying out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to glue them.
But they are the cutest little shields because you've got these little houses and they've done art on the inside and everyone is different.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. What about the strategery, which is the luck as strategy and tactics?
Very interesting with Keyflower, especially when you start adding expansions, and not just the big expansions, but like there's lots of little mini expansions, is that there are only so many tiles that are going to come out every game. So, even when you're used to Keyflower, you have no idea exactly what's coming out and how that's going to affect your long-term strategy.
Right.
The fact that you start with the winter tiles immediately kind of puts you into long-term strategy thinking.
What to aim for.
Yeah. But at the same time, at the end of the game, you don't even get a guarantee that you're going to get those.
No, exactly.
Which is amazing.
Like the very last game that I played, I got an endgame scoring that was like 5 resources of whatever, give me 5 points, and I'm like, well, the game we played before this one, hardly any resource tiles came out, and I thought, well, there's probably no use shooting for this one right away. Like, I'll have to wait until summer or fall really kind of see, you know, what kind of things I got.
So it's interesting because you've got, like, on one hand, here's your winter tiles, start strategizing long term. On the second hand, everything is coming up randomly. You have no idea what's going to come up, who's going to do what. So that's random, and the blend of those makes it an incredibly tactical game. You've got to constantly be switching up your strategies, and there's lots of different ways that you can play the game. You can be very, I'm going to bid on my things, and I'm going to put my people on my own markers, and I'm going to be doing everything. Or you can be like, you know, I'm just going to do this and put something over on someone else's and completely mess them up.
Well, I'm not at that level yet, only because there's so much going on in Keyflower that I got to focus on my own thing, or like, I can't be over there trying to mess you up.
There is a lot. The fact that you can, in one turn, place a worker on a tile to activate it, place a worker to bid for a tile, place a worker on a tile that's being bid on to activate it, or place a tile on someone else's stuff.
Right.
There is a lot to keep track of.
Because you're only going to have so many meeples, and if you use them all to bid, you're not going to have any meeples for the next round to do anything.
Yeah.
But although I generally tend to go for the ones that give me green meeples sometimes, because it gives me more options, I really should put the green ones on your town to block you.
That sucks.
It would be frustrating, though, I can understand, for the other player.
I play Keyflower online at Board Game Arena every now and then, and it was the first time that somebody had gathered a whole bunch of green meeples, and then suddenly one round they just started placing one green meeple on each of my home tiles or village tiles, and just activating them and then just leaving them with one meeple, and I was like, I can't do anything this round. And that's cutthroat
Keyflower. Yeah.
So you can get very blocking cutthroat in the game.
But then that leaves you with all your meeples just to bid on everything and take everything away from them.
True. So there's, even when you do get cutthroat and blocky, there's always some kind of payoff. There wasn't much of a payoff on that one. That really did just kind of strangle me. There was nothing I could do for that game. It was a good move, though. It was impressive. All right, what about the complexity of Keyflower?
You would look at it and you think it's crazy complex. It looks complex. But really, like you said, there's only 3 little things you can do, basically.
Yeah.
Activate yours, bid on those. Activate yours. I guess there's 4. Or activate the ones you're bidding on.
Yeah.
It's just managing your meeple colors. And trying to do... You can't do everything. So you have to kind of min and max it a little bit. Like, where are my meeples going to give me the most potential?
Yeah.
And the best payoff.
Yeah.
So I find that's where the complexity comes into it.
Yeah.
And really, if you're starting off 2 people, like really just your first game, and someone's really good at doing that, and someone needs to practice at that, they could find themselves frustrated.
Yeah.
Because Keyflower is definitely a game that you get better at with practice.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's only because of that maximizing your meeple potential.
Yep.
So you want to start off the game with someone that is on the same level as you are.
Definitely, yeah.
I think.
If I were to teach Keyflower to someone who'd never played it before, I would have to help them. I'd be like, I'm not going to tell you what move to make, but here's a couple of the moves
some options
that you could be looking at that maybe you're not.
And see, I wouldn't be any good at teaching this game because I still find there's a lot going on. Like, I think I can play the game well, and I actually did pull out a win, so that's nice.
Yeah.
In one of the games we played. Yep. On camera. But sometimes it's hard work to like really figure out what the best move is.
It's because there are so many possible choices with a lot of pros and cons for every single one of those choices. Yeah. And then you even have to prioritize, like, hey, I want to do these 5 things this turn. Which one should I do first so that somebody doesn't block me later on? And that's a lot of tough decisions.
And if you're a player like me that kind of plays a little bit with your blinders on and you get on that autopilot, like, I've got to do this, to do this, to do this, to finally get to do that. But if someone puts a monkey wrench in your plan, it really throws me off. And that can happen a lot in Keyflower.
Yeah.
The last thing in the complexity section is maybe the setup. Because there's quite a bit to set up.
Yeah.
Each time you play the game. The setup's random and variable, but it is something that you can get used to. Yeah. So that it doesn't take as long, kind of, or it doesn't feel like it takes as long to set up if you've played it multiple times in a short period of time.
Keyflower, just the base game, is pretty straightforward for the setup, which is nice, but once you start adding the bigger expansions, I've had to actually sit down and write out a couple of pages of notes with like a couple of like charts to remember how many of each kind of tile comes out. It does get a little complex.
It changes for each expansion.
Yeah. I'm not big into board game inserts, but if I could, Keyflower would be one of the games I would love to have an insert made for, so I could just pull stuff out and then start setting it up. It would be so much better.
Yeah. So what do you think about the playability?
The playability, the mechanics versus the theme are quite good. It's very neat to watch your village grow and kind of build an engine of, I'm going to do this so that I can trigger this, so that I can do this, and that is very excellent and very satisfying, especially when you pull some good stuff off.
Yes, when it works out, it makes you very happy.
Yeah. Scaling for the number of players, it scales very well because as you scale, there's going to be more tiles. So you would think if suddenly you had like 4 or 5 other people trying to get on that tile that you really want, that's a bummer. But there's going to be so many more tiles, and a lot of the tiles do very similar things. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it that much.
And you can always activate them from someone else's village if you have spare meeples.
Yeah. Which would be kind of neat, because if you're playing it with a lot of players, suddenly you have a lot more options to think about.
But I think the analysis paralysis will go way up.
Could be.
Because some of the videos that I edited so far for Keyflower, like the first one, I think we had an hour and a half of footage. Yeah. But once I edited it, it was only an hour of gameplay.
Wow.
So there was 30 minutes of us just either debating what we're going to do or just silently like counting and thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the AP with this is quite high.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even analysis paralysis so much. I don't ever feel like I'm just like lost. I know what I want to do. It's just there are a lot of options
to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can sit there and I can be like, okay, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this. I'm gonna do this. It just takes a while to like figure all those options out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a longer game. As for the replayability, especially when you start getting some of the expansions, even the mini expansions, it's just going to be like a constant new game with the different tiles coming out.
And especially since we play it mostly 2-player.
Yeah.
And like you said, like we're going to see the fewest tiles each game.
Yep.
At that player count.
Yep. And that's great. It's one of those games where once you learn the system of the game, you have to constantly adjust your understanding of that system to match what tiles have entered the game this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to readjust it every season as new tiles come out that you had no anticipation of.
Right.
Which is fun, but brain burnery.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. So, does it have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
Oh, it has equal awesome to cute because the art is very cute and I love it. And then once you get the farmers, you're going to have the animeeples.
Yep.
Like cuteness overload.
Yep.
But it's really awesome as well because it's brain burnery, but you don't feel like your brain got burned when you play it. It's just you really engage your brain.
Yeah.
And you feel sometimes when you win, you feel like you've pulled off some really smart moves.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the times, at least for the games that we've been playing lately, I feel like win or lose, I can kind of trace it back to one or two key moves.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games where when you're done, regardless of whether you win or lose, you do think about it. How did that happen? Mm-hmm. And how can I improve?
Right, and what might have changed if I did that different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some games you're like, hey, I won, that's great. Let's pack it up and play something else.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm like, hey, I won. How did I win? How did I lose?
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you've got a game group looking for a game, and they ask you, what about Keyflower?
The first great thing about Keyflower is it can accommodate 2 to 6 players, and it accommodates them all well. So if you get a group that is sometimes small and sometimes big,
mm-hmm.
perfect. The other thing with Keyflower is you're going to want to have a group that enjoys really delving into the depths of a game to learn how to play it well. Because if part of your group likes that and the other part doesn't,
mm-hmm.
Keyflower is not going to be the game that they're going to enjoy.
Right, because most of the time when I'm having downtime, I'm still calculating what I'm going to do with all these meeples, or maybe if I did this different, could I work that out? So my brain's always busy when it's your turn.
Yeah. But
if you have someone that is not going to be analyzing what they're doing and they find it boring, they're going to find it long between their turns.
Yeah. That's actually funny. We didn't talk about that previously, but there is like a lot of downtime in between turns, but I never feel like there's downtime in between turns because you need that downtime to be calculating stuff.
Right.
Absolutely. So if you got a game group that does not like to put that much like brain power into calculating all of the options, Keyflower probably is not the game for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you like games that have really in-depth systems that you can master, and then even once you've mastered it, every game is going to test that mastery in different ways because of the variable setup,
mm-hmm.
Keyflower is definitely the game for your group.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. Are we going to trade it or keep it?
We're keeping it.
Yes, we are. Keyflower was like one of our very early kind of sort of Grail games.
Kind of, because when we found out about Keyflower, you couldn't get it anywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere was sold out.
Yep.
And I think we ended up buying it from eBay from the UK somewhere.
Yeah. For like an amazing price.
Yeah.
For being transported over.
Yeah.
And I remember Keyflower, we got it when it was very early in us getting into board gaming and just like reading about these mechanisms and how they interacted and all your options. It was just like, I never knew a board game could do that.
Oh, I know. It was one of the heaviest games we had at the time.
Yeah.
It's crazy we haven't even talked about it until now.
Yeah. We got a lot of expansions that we wanted to cover.
It's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely going to be keeping Keyflower. I can never imagine getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you're wondering about the expansions, I'll definitely be keeping the farmers.
Yeah, the farmers.
I like the farmers better than I like the merchants. But
Me
we'll
too.
do an impressions video after this about the 2 expansions.
Yep.
But if you don't catch that one, I would, for me personally,
Yeah.
I'm happier with the farmers.
Yep, me too. Did we finish Keyflower as sweethearts or rivals? We finished it as rivals. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Especially once I get better at it, and I will block his villages with all those green meeples.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would totally do that.
And you can sit there and like, okay, so you're going after that and I'm going after that. I don't really need that tile, but let's make you work for it.
Yeah.
Bang!
Yeah, I can see Keyflower being one of those games that once we're retired and we have a lot of time to like really, you know, discover all of the awesomest strategies of Keyflower.
Yeah.
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 It'll be one of those retirement games.
And that is Keyflower.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in the next video.
Laters. I see it as like when we're like having an argument and it's like we can't like get over the argument. It's like, that's it, to the Keyflower table.
Let's take this outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I win. That means I'm right.
Yeah. That's kind of weird.